Hey guys, tonight we are heading back about 1,000 years, to a place where the mornings are slow, the air is thick with wood smoke, and the fashion is surprisingly colorful. We're going to explore the daily grooming habits and styles of the Vikings, a people often imagined as grimy, wild-haired brutes, but who, in reality, were rather obsessed with their appearance. This is a story about combs, not combat, about bright dyes, not dragon ships. It's a gentle journey into the quiet, personal moments of a Norse household, and just a friendly head. You probably wouldn't survive this, not because of the rating, but because the complete and total lack of privacy would drive a modern person to madness in about 12 hours. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It helps the channel find other people who enjoy falling asleep to these little trips through time. And if you feel like it, leave a comment letting me know where in the world you're listening from and what time it is there. I love seeing this little community stretch across the globe. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your first sensation is not sight, but smell. It's a dense, complex aroma that has soaked into the very fabric of your dreams. It's the smell of a wood fire that has been burning for generations, a sweet, ashy perfume that clings to your hair, your skin, and the heavy wool blanket pulled up to your chin. Beneath that is the scent of damp earth, the faint, sweet smell of hay, and the not-so-faint musky presence of livestock. It's the signature fragrance of home, a blend of hearth, humanity, and a hint of barn. You are waking up in a Viking longhouse. There is no jarring alarm, no sudden slice of sunlight. The world returns to you slowly, in layers of sound. First, the soft, rhythmic breathing of the dozen or so other people sharing this vast, dim space with you. A gentle chorus of sighs and the occasional, surprisingly loud snore from your uncle 3 beds down. Then, the gentle crackle and pop of the long central hearth, where the embers from last night's fire still glow, a warm, sleepy orange. Outside, the wind whispers and moans as it presses against the thick turf walls, a constant, soothing companion. You can hear a cow shift its weight and let out a low, mournful moo from the byre at the far end of the longhouse, separated from the human quarters by a simple wooden partition. For a moment, you just lie there, suspended in the cool, smoky air, feeling the familiar weight of the world settle back into place. You open your eyes. The light is faint, a hazy silver gray filtering down from the smoke holes in the high arched roof. Long, dark timbers, polished smooth by decades of smoke, curve overhead like the ribs of a great, sleeping beast. Dust motes dance in the weak shafts of morning light, a slow, silent ballet in the still air. Everything is shadow and suggestion. The sleeping forms on the raised wooden platforms that line the long walls are just lumps under heavy furs and woolens. The looms, chests, and benches that furnish the space are just dark, solid shapes in the gloom. This communal living arrangement is the cornerstone of your world. Everyone you know, everyone you are related to, sleeps, eats, and works within these walls. Privacy is a concept that would probably make people laugh. A strange and lonely idea. You push the heavy wool blanket aside. It's a wonderfully practical thing, woven in a striking diamond twill pattern, but it has the familiar, slightly scratchy texture of real, unprocessed wool. The air that hits your skin is cool and crisp, carrying the promise of a long day's work. You swing your legs over the edge of the wooden platform, your bare feet finding the cold, packed earth floor. It's hard and uneven beneath your soles, a direct connection to the ground your home is built on. You sit for a moment, letting your senses adjust. The air quality in here would send a modern-day health inspector into a state of panic. The smoke from the fire, with nowhere to go but up through the small holes in the roof, fills the upper reaches of the hall in a permanent, hazy cloud. Historians often debate the exact layout of these homes, whether families had partitioned cubicles or simply designated areas, but everyone agrees on the smoke. It was a constant presence, a lung-stinging, eye-watering reality of life. But it also had its benefits. That same smoke cured the strips of meat hanging from the rafters and kept the insects from nesting in the thatched roof. It was a preservative, an insecticide, and a heater, all in one slightly suffocating package. Asterisk, a child coughs softly in their sleep nearby. Someone on the far side of the hall rolls over, the straw in their mattress rustling like dry leaves. The day hasn't truly begun, but the longhouse is stirring, like a great animal waking from a deep slumber. You know the rhythms of this place by heart. Soon, the women will rise to tend the fire, to begin the slow, laborious process of making the day's bread and porridge. The men will head out to check the animals and the fields. But for now, in this quiet, in-between time, there is a sense of peace. You stretch your arms above your head, your knuckles brushing against the low wooden roof of your sleeping enclosure. You take a deep, smoky breath. The first task of the day awaits, a ritual that is as much about cleanliness as it is about signaling your place in the world. It's time to face the morning and the basin of cold water that comes with it. You move quietly through the dim, cavernous space, your feet navigating the familiar dips and rises of the earthen floor. A few others are stirring now, their movements slow and deliberate in the pre-dawn chill. The air is still thick, but you're used to it. Your lungs, born into this smoky world, don't protest. Near the heavy wooden door, which stands slightly ajar to let a thin ribbon of clean, cold air slice through the haze, is your destination. A low bench holding a wide, shallow bowl made of soapstone. It's heavy and solid, cool to the touch. Beside it sits a wooden bucket, filled last night from the nearby stream. This is your morning sink. Asterisk, you dip a ladle into the bucket and pour a measure of water into the basin. It's breathtakingly, shockingly cold. There is no hot water on tap here. The very idea would be ludicrous. Any water that needs to be heated is done so painstakingly over the main fire, and that's a luxury reserved for cooking, brewing, or the weekly bath, not for a simple morning wash. You brace yourself, take a shallow breath, and cup the icy water in your hands. The first splash on your face is a jolt, a sharp and immediate announcement that the day has officially begun. It chases away the last stubborn remnants of sleep, tightening the skin on your face and making your ears tingle. You scrub vigorously with your fingertips, washing the soot and sleep from your eyes, the smoky film from your skin. Asterisk, this simple act, this daily ritual, is one of the great misunderstandings about your people. Centuries from now, storytellers will paint you as unwashed barbarians, caked in the grime of battle and travel. They couldn't be more wrong. You, and everyone around you, take personal hygiene very seriously. In fact, your neighbors to the south, the Anglo-Saxons, are known to grumble about it. An English chronicler would later complain that the Danish men who settled in his lands were far too fastidious. They combed their hair daily, bathed weekly every Saturday, and changed their clothes so often that they had an unfair advantage in winning the affections of local noble women. It seems being clean and well-groomed was a form of psychological warfare, or at least a highly effective dating strategy. You don't think of it that way, of course. It just feels good to be clean. It's a matter of self-respect. Asterisk, you rinse your hands in the now murky water, the cold biting at your knuckles. There's no fluffy towel waiting for you. You use a small, rough square of linen to dry your face and hands, the coarse texture doing as much to wake you up as the water did. The fabric smells faintly of wood smoke and the meadow sweet that was used to scent the linen chest. You look at your reflection, a distorted, wavering version of yourself in the dark surface of the water in the basin. There's no mirror here, not in the modern sense. Any reflection you see is fleeting and imperfect, in a still pool of water or a highly polished piece of metal. You know your own face by touch and by the reactions of others, not by staring at it for hours on end. Asterisk, what about soap? Historians still wonder about the specifics of its daily use. You have soap, a strong, caustic stuff, made from animal fat and lye, often derived from wood ash. It's incredibly effective, capable of stripping dirt and grease from wool, and even bleaching hair. But it's probably too harsh for the delicate skin of your face every single day. Perhaps it's used sparingly, just a dab for the hands. Or perhaps the daily wash is simply a freshwater rinse, with the full, soapy scrub saved for Saturday, which literally translates to washing day. It was a day so dedicated to bathing that it became the name for the day of the week itself, a cornerstone of the social calendar. Imagine a culture where bathing is so important. It's a scheduled event everyone looks forward to. It's less of a chore and more of a social gathering. A time to relax and trade stories in the steam of a bathhouse. The longhouse is more awake now. The low murmur of conversation begins to ripple through the space. The smell of wood smoke is starting to mingle with the comforting aroma of porridge bubbling over the fire. Your face is clean, your mind is clear, and you feel the familiar, pleasant tingle of blood returning to your cold flushed cheeks. You have faced the morning in one, but the ritual is only half complete. The water has awakened your skin, but now it's time to tend to what is, arguably, the most important part of a Viking's appearance, the hair. Your prized comb, a small work of art, and a vital daily tool, is waiting for you back at your sleeping bench. Asterisk, you return to your sleeping bench. The cold of the floor, a familiar sensation under your feet. The longhouse is humming with a little more life now. The air is filled with the low tones of conversation and the clatter of someone preparing breakfast. You kneel down beside the low wooden platform and reach into a small carved chest at its foot. Inside, nestled amongst folded strips of woolen cloth and a few personal trinkets, is your most essential tool. It's not a weapon or a farming implement. It's your comb. Asterisk, you lift it out. Its weight and texture, instantly familiar in your palm. This is not some flimsy, mass-produced piece of plastic. It is a solid, beautifully crafted object made from polished deer antler. It's a composite comb, meaning it was constructed in several pieces. A row of long, fine teeth was cut from a flat plate of bone, and then sandwiched between two thicker, decorated side plates that form the spine. The whole thing is held together with a series of small but sturdy iron rivets, each one hammered carefully into place. The surface is worn smooth from years of daily use, but the decorations are still clear. They are simple, geometric patterns, a series of incised lines, chevrons, and a popular Dotan circle motif, created by drilling a small hole and then scribing a circle around it with a compass-like tool. It's a small piece of functional art, and it is yours alone. In a world where almost everything is communal, a personal comb is a statement of identity. Asterisk, you sit on the edge of your bed, the scratchy wool blanket, a rough cushion beneath you, and begin the slow, methodical process of taming your hair. Viking bedhead, after a night spent on a straw-stuffed mattress in a smoky room, is a formidable challenge. You start at the ends, working gently through the tangles left by sleep and tossing. The bone teeth make a faint, dry, scratching sound as they pass through the strands, a quiet, rhythmic whisper in the growing hum of the longhouse. It's a process that cannot be rushed. Each knot is a small problem to be solved with patience, not force. A broken tooth on a comb is a minor disaster, as these are valuable items, sometimes taking a specialized craftsman days to make. You can see why they are one of the most common items found in the graves of your people, tucked beside men and women alike. Leaving for the next world without a good comb would be, frankly, unthinkable. Asterisk, this daily ritual is crucial, not just for appearance, but for health. A well-combed head of hair is less likely to harbor lice and other unwelcome visitors. A constant concern in a world of close quarters and woolen clothes. The fine teeth of the comb are remarkably effective at cleaning both the hair and the scalp. It's the original anti-dandruff technology. Archaeologists a millennium from now will find these combs in astonishing numbers, in every settlement, in nearly every grave. They are more common than some types of pottery or tools. This tells them something essential, that for your people, order began on a personal level. To face the world, you first had to put yourself in order, and that started with your hair. It wasn't vanity, it was dignity. Asterisk, you run the comb through the last of the lengths, your hair now falling in a smooth, heavy curtain down your back. You pause to admire the craftsmanship again. Who made this? Was it a local artisan, or a traveling specialist, who set up a workshop in the village for a season? Historians still wonder if the intricate patterns held specific, personal meanings. Is the design on your comb simply a popular style, the equivalent of a modern brand logo? Or does it represent something more? Perhaps it's a symbol of your family, a protective charm, or a subtle indicator of your status. The artisans who made them left no written records, only the objects themselves, leaving their precise symbolism, a gentle mystery whispered across the centuries. It's a pleasant thought that this small, everyday object in your hand holds a secret language you understand instinctively, but which will become a puzzle for the future. Asterisk, with your hair now neat and orderly, you feel more fully yourself. The fogginess of sleep has been completely combed away. You might leave it long and loose for a day spent at home. Or you might now begin to braid it into the thick, elaborate plaits favored for keeping it out of your eyes while you work. For men, a well-groomed beard and mustache were just as important, often braided or shaped. The feeling is one of satisfaction, of readiness. You have imposed order on your own little corner of the universe. This simple, repetitive motion has been a form of meditation, a quiet moment of focus before the day's chaos begins. You carefully place the comb back into its protective cloth and return it to the chest. Your hair is done. Now, what about the rest? You recall a small leather pouch tucked beside the comb, containing an even more surprising collection of tools. Curiosity piqued, you reach back into the carved wooden chest, your fingers bypassing the familiar texture of your comb and the rough weave of folded cloth. They find what they're looking for, a small, soft pouch made of deerskin, held shut by a simple leather thong wrapped tightly around its neck. It's light and unassuming, but it jingles faintly as you lift it out. The sound of metal on metal, a tiny muffled chime. You undo the knot and empty the contents into your open palm. What lies there is a collection of small, delicate instruments that look more suited to a surgeon or a watchmaker than a fearsome raider. This is your personal grooming kit, a portable collection of tiny technologies for maintaining a tidy appearance. The first and most recognizable tool is a pair of tweezers. They are beautifully crafted from a single strip of bronze, bent in the middle to create tension, with the two ends hammered flat and precisely aligned to meet at the tip. They are surprisingly effective, perfect for plucking a stray eyebrow hair, or more practically, removing a stubborn splinter picked up while hauling firewood. You run your thumb over the cool, smooth metal. Someone took the time to decorate even this humble tool, adding a few simple lines and dots along its length. It's a testament to the belief that even the most mundane objects deserve a touch of beauty. You can picture the smith, hunched over his work, carefully adding those final decorative touches, not because he had to, but because it was the right way to do it. Next to the tweezers is a more peculiar item. It looks like a tiny, long-handled spoon or scoop, the end curved into a delicate, miniature bowl. This is an ear spoon, or an ear pick. Its purpose is exactly what it sounds like, and while it might seem a bit grim to a modern sensibility, it was a perfectly normal part of personal hygiene. In a world without cotton swabs, this was the accepted tool for the job. Like the tweezers, it's made of bronze and decorated with a similar simple elegance. It's a slender, well-balanced instrument, Holding it, you realize the level of detail and care your people invested in personal grooming. It wasn't just about the big picture of hair and clothes. It extended to the smallest, most intimate aspects of the body. Clean ears were clearly a priority. There might be another tool in your palm, something that looks like a small, blunt nail file or cuticle pusher, also likely made of bronze or polished bone. These kits were personal and varied from person to person. Some of the most elaborate examples found by archaeologists were suspended from a woman's brooch on a fine chain, worn as a functional piece of jewelry, always within reach. Imagine wearing your tweezers as a fashion accessory. It speaks to a culture that saw these acts of grooming not as something to be hidden away in a bathroom cabinet, but as an open and accepted part of daily life. There was no shame in personal maintenance. There was pride. You gather the small tools, their collective weight barely registering in your hand. They feel precise and purposeful. These objects directly challenge the stereotype of the brutish, unrefined Viking. Brutes don't use delicate ear spoons. They don't carry decorated tweezers. This is the toolkit of a people deeply concerned with the details of their appearance. A widely accepted historical fact is that these grooming kits are found in both male and female graves, indicating that fastidiousness was not gender-specific. Everyone was expected to keep up appearances. The Norse sagas, the great epic poems of your people, are filled with references to appearance. Heroes are described as having fine, well-kept hair. A handsome man is a man who is clean and tidy. An unkempt appearance was a sign of mourning madness or deep distress, a deliberate and shocking departure from the norm. So, the question that historians debate is how these tools were actually used in a cosmetic sense. The ear spoon and tweezers have obvious practical functions, but were they also used to apply pigments? An Arab traveler and diplomat, Ibrahim al-Tartushi, who visited the Viking trading town of Hidabi in the 10th century, wrote that both men and women wore artificial eye makeup. Could that little spoon have been used to scoop out a bit of coal or some other dark powder to line the eyes, making them appear more striking? It's a tantalizing possibility. The image of a Viking warrior carefully applying eyeliner with a tiny bronze scoop before a raid is a wonderfully disruptive one. It complicates the simple picture of violent masculinity and replaces it with something far more nuanced and interesting. You smile to yourself, closing your fingers around the small tools. They are a secret history of quiet moments, of personal, meticulous care. You slide them back into their soft leather pouch, the faint metallic clink, a satisfying sound. You tie the thong, securing your little collection of civilized instruments. The big tasks of the day are still ahead, the farming, the weaving, the endless chores of subsistence. But these small rituals matter. They are the foundation upon which the day is built. And as you put the pouch away, you think of another, stranger grooming ritual. One involving a very peculiar kind of soap and a desire to be just a little bit blonder. Having tidied your hair and tucked away your grooming kit, you turn your attention to a small, lidded wooden pot sitting on the chest. You lift the lid. The contents don't look particularly appealing. It's a thick, yellowish, gelatinous paste, and it gives off a sharp, acrid smell, a bit like ammonia. This is your soap, but it's a very special, very potent kind of soap, made with a high concentration of lye derived from a careful burning of birch or beechwood, which creates a particularly strong ash. This isn't the gentle, fragrant bar you might use for your hands. This is a powerful chemical tool with a surprising dual purpose. It not only cleans, it also bleaches. Asterisk, you dip a finger into the pot, scooping up a small amount of the harsh, slippery substance. You've seen the men in your family use this on their beards and hair, and some women use it on their own lighter-colored locks. The process is straightforward, if a bit unpleasant. They work the soap into a thick lather in their hair, leaving it in for a few hours, often sitting in the sun to enhance its effects. The strong alkali in the lye reacts with the hair's natural pigments, stripping them of color and leaving it a few shades lighter. Over time, with repeated use, a dark blonde could become a striking, almost white blonde, and a brown could become a reddish gold. It was the original Sunin, 1,000 years before its time. Asterisk, this practice explains the almost stereotypical image of the blonde Viking. While many Scandinavians were naturally fair-haired, this potent soap helped them enhance the effect, creating a culturally fashionable look. It was a statement. The sagas are full of heroes with light or bright hair, and this was one way to achieve that ideal. But the bleaching was, in a way, a side effect. The primary purpose of this strong soap was hygiene. The high lye content made it a brutally effective a head of hair and a beard thoroughly scrubbed with this stuff would be an extremely hostile environment for lice and other biting insects, which were a serious and persistent problem. So, you could get a fashionable hair color and deluge yourself at the same time. It's a perfect example of Viking pragmatism. Why have a tool that only does one thing when it could do two? Asterisk. You watch as your older brother begins this very ritual, sitting on a stool near the doorway to catch the morning light. He grimaces slightly as he works the pungent soap into his magnificent beard, his knuckles disappearing into the thick, soapy foam. It's not a comfortable process. The lye stings the skin if left on too long and can make the hair brittle and coarse. But the results are worth it. His beard, naturally a sandy brown, is now a fierce, streaked gold, and it's immaculately clean. Historians have found chemical traces of this strong lye soap on preserved hair from Viking-era burials, confirming that this wasn't just a story, but a widespread practice. It was a serious commitment to a particular aesthetic. Asterisk, but this raises an open question for scholars. Was this purely a Norse practice, or did they pick it up from somewhere else? The ancient Gauls, centuries earlier, were reported by the Romans to have used a similar lime-based wash to stiffen and bleach their hair into terrifying styles. Is it possible this was a long-standing Northern European tradition that your people simply perfected? Or did the idea travel along the vast trade networks you were a part of? It's a fascinating puzzle. The world is more connected than you know. A fashion trend could travel almost as fast as a rumor, passed from trader to trader, warrior to warrior, from the Celtic lands to the shores of your own fjord. Asterisk, this soap had other uses, too. It was a powerful detergent for cleaning textiles, particularly the greasy, lanolin-rich wool that most of your clothes were made from. A bucket of hot water and a dollop of this lye soap could cut through almost any grime, though it had to be rinsed thoroughly to prevent it from damaging the fibers. Some even say it was used in the initial stages of processing flax into linen, helping to break down the tough plant fibers. It was a multi-purpose chemical compound, a cornerstone of the Viking cleaning cabinet. Asterisk, you put the lid back on the pot, the sharp smell momentarily catching in your throat. You decide to pass on the hair bleaching experience today. Your own hair is fine as it is, but you appreciate the ingenuity of it, the clever combination of style and sanitation. Your brother catches your eye and grins, his face framed by a halo of white, soapy bubbles. He looks faintly ridiculous, but in a few hours, after a thorough rinsing in the stream, his beard will be magnificent, a shining banner of gold. The day is young, and the long, slow process of getting ready has only just begun. The smoke in the longhouse is starting to thin as the fire is built up, its bright flames consuming the haze. The air is clearing, both inside and out. It's time to think about what you're going to wear. With your face washed, your hair combed, and the faint, sharp scent of your brother's lye soap hanging in the air, you turn your attention to getting dressed. This, too, is a deliberate, layered process, a slow construction of comfort, practicality, and personal expression. You move back toward your sleeping bench, the very center of your small, personal world, within the larger communal space of the longhouse. You open the same large wooden chest you retrieved your comb from, but this time you reach deeper, past the grooming tools. to the neatly folded stacks of clothing within. Asterisk, the first layer is the most important. You pull out a long undertunic, or it's made of linen, and the moment you touch it, you appreciate the immense amount of work it represents. Linen begins its life as the tough, fibrous flax plant. Turning it into this soft, breathable fabric is a monumentally laborious process of harvesting, readying a controlled rotting to break down the outer stalk, scutching, heckling, spinning the fine fibers into thread, and finally, weaving that thread on an upright loom. It's a task that would have filled the long, dark winter months for the women of the household. The result is a fabric that is far more comfortable against the skin than wool. It's smoother, lighter, and it wicks away sweat, making it the perfect foundation garment. Asterisk, you shake it out. It's a simple, T-shaped garment, constructed from straight-cut pieces of fabric to minimize waste, with long sleeves and a hem that falls somewhere between your knees and your ankles. The natural color of the linen is a soft, creamy off-white, the color of bleached flax. Some undertunics might be dyed a pale yellow with a plant-like weld, but many are left in their natural state. This is your personal comfort layer, the barrier between your skin and the coarser wool you will wear on top. As you pull it on over your head, the cool, smooth fabric feels wonderful against your clean skin. It's loose and unrestrictive, designed for a life of movement. There are no buttons or complex fastenings, just a simple keyhole or slit neckline to allow it to pass over your head. Asterisk, for a woman, this might be the primary layer, perhaps worn under a suspended dress or apron, known as a smocker or hangarock. For a man, it is the essential base beneath a woolen overtone. Underneath it all, both men and women might wear simple linen breeches or leggings for warmth, though the exact nature of Viking undergarments is one of those frustratingly intimate details that historians have to piece together from scant evidence. The sagas are full of epic heroes and dramatic voyages, but they tend to be conspicuously silent on the topic of underwear. It's a funny thought that we know more about the decorations on a warrior's sword than we do about his socks. Asterisk. What is a well-established fact is the ubiquity of linen and wool. Your entire wardrobe is based on these two remarkable natural fibers: linen for softness and coolness against the skin, and wool for warmth, water resistance, and durability on the outside. This two-layer system is a simple but incredibly effective way to regulate body temperature in the changeable northern climate. The linen breathes and keeps you comfortable indoors by the fire, while the wool provides a robust shield against the wind and damp when you step outside. It's a technology perfected over centuries. Asterisk, as you smooth down the linen tunic, you feel a sense of being properly grounded. This is the starting point. All other clothes will be built upon this simple, honest foundation. You are not yet decorated or displaying your status to the world. You are simply comfortable. The longhouse is truly alive now. The central hearth is a roaring, cheerful blaze, and the air is filled with the hearty smell of oat porridge and baking flatbread. Children are now awake, their laughter and playful shouts echoing up to the smoky rafters. The day's work is calling, but these moments of quiet preparation are a vital buffer between the peace of sleep and the demands of the world. Asterisk. You take a moment to adjust the lay of the fabric, ensuring the sleeves are straight and the hem is even. It's a small act of self-possession. The garment itself feels almost alive, imbued with the spirit of the hands that made it. You can almost feel the rhythm of the loom in the texture of the weave, the long hours of patient work captured in the threads. Historians often debate the level of specialization in textile production. Was every household producing all its own cloth from scratch? Or were there specialist spinners and weavers whose skill was sought after? The quality of some surviving textile fragments suggests a very high level of craftsmanship, perhaps beyond that of a casual home weaver. Your tunic is well made but simple. It's a good, sturdy, everyday garment, but the next layer you choose will be the one that truly speaks to the world. the one that carries the color. Asterisk with the soft, creamy white linen tunic as your base. You reach back into the chest for the main event, the over. This is the garment that everyone will see. The one that carries your personal style and broadcasts your family's status. And the first thing that strikes you as you pull it out is its color. It is not the drab, muddy brown so often imagined by future generations. It is a deep, rich, vibrant blue. You hold it up in the growing light of the longhouse, the smoky air making the color feel deep and alive. This beautiful shade comes from the woad plant, a leafy green that, through a complex and rather smelly process of fermentation, yields one of the most coveted dyes in the ancient world. Creating this color was a form of alchemy. The women of the household would have spent days tending the vats, carefully managing the temperature and chemistry to coax this brilliant, permanent blue from the humble leaves. It was a smelly, difficult job, but the result was a piece of wearable magic. This tunic didn't just happen. It was a deliberate and resource-intensive creation. Looking around the longhouse, you see a surprising spectrum of color coming to life as others get dressed. Your father is pulling on a tunic of deep madder red, a color derived from the root of a plant that was a staple of the dyer's art. Your cousin favors a bright sunny yellow, likely achieved with weld, also known as dyer's rocket. There are greens too, created by first dyeing the wool yellow and then dipping it in the blue woad vata two-step process, requiring even more skill. And there are purples, some of them a lichen-based dye that gives a lovely, soft lavender hue. Historians once debated whether these colors were common or reserved only for the very wealthy. But archaeological finds have settled the matter. Fragments of brightly colored textiles have been found in abundance. From the trading centers of Burka and Hidabi to simple farmsteads, color was not a luxury. It was a fundamental part of the visual language of your culture. Of course, not everything is a rainbow. There are also plenty of earth tones, but even these are often the result of a deliberate choice, not a lack of options. Wool comes in a natural variety of shades, from the creamy white of some sheep to the dark brown and near black of others. A weaver could create intricate patterns simply by using these contrasting natural colors, a technique seen in many surviving fragments of Viking-era cloth. So even a brown tunic might be a complex pattern of different natural wools, a subtle and sophisticated statement. The idea of the universally drab Viking is a myth, a beige-colored misunderstanding. Your world is a colorful one. You pull the blue wool tunic on over your linen undergarment. The texture is completely different. Where the linen was smooth and cool, the wool is substantial, slightly coarse, and immediately warm. It's woven in a classic twill or herringbone pattern. A texture that not only looks good but also makes the fabric stronger and more insulating. The tunic is cut similarly to the one underneath. A simple T-shape with long sleeves, but it might be slightly shorter, designed to show a few inches of the lighter linen at the hem and cuffs, creating an elegant, layered look. The fit is loose and comfortable, allowing for a full range of motion. You don't wear anything that restricts your ability to work, to run, or to swing an axe, should the need arise. Fashion, for you, is deeply rooted in function. One of the lesser-known details about these dyes is their varying cost and status. Woad blue and madder red were relatively common and accessible, but some colors were the height of luxury. A particularly intense red could be made from the Kermes insect, an import from the Mediterranean that was astronomically expensive. And the most prized color of all was a vibrant purple, made from imported silk that had been dyed with Tyrian purple from sea snails. Owning a garment of that color would be like owning a supercar today, an unambiguous declaration of immense wealth and far-reaching connections. Historians still debate the extent to which these super-luxury goods made it to Scandinavia, but there's no doubt that your people appreciated a good, strong color and understood the status it conveyed. Asterisk, you adjust the hang of your new blue tunic, feeling its familiar weight on your shoulders. The color makes you feel put together, visible. In the dim, smoky interior of the longhouse, a splash of color is a cheerful and welcome sight. It's a small rebellion against the long, gray. Now that you are clothed in the rich, deep blue of your woolen overtunic, your eye is drawn to the details that elevate it from a simple garment to a piece of personal expression. The tunic itself is a canvas, and the artistry is in the finishing touches. You run your hand along the edge of your sleeve. Sewn onto the cuff is a thick, decorative band of woven braid. It's about an inch wide, and the pattern is a complex, geometric interlace of contrasting colors, a flash of bright red and natural white against the dark blue of the tunic. It's a small detail, but it has a powerful visual impact, framing your hands with a sharp, deliberate line of pattern. Asterisk, this is tablet weaving, a technique that has been used for thousands of years, but was perfected by your people into a high art form. It's a method of creating strong, narrow, intricately patterned bands of cloth. The weaver uses a set of small, flat tablets, usually made of wood, bone, or even antler each, with holes in the corners. By threading different colored yarns through these holes, and then turning the tablets in various sequences, the weaver can create an astonishing variety of complex patterns. From simple chevrons to elaborate, interlocking knot. It's a slow, painstaking process that requires immense skill and concentration. It's like programming a tiny, ancient computer with wool. The band on your cuff might have taken someone hours, or even days, to produce. Asterisk, you look closer at the pattern. It's a series of repeating geometric shapes, crisp and clean. These woven bands are not just decorative. They also strengthen the edges of the garment. The cuffs, collar, and hem are the areas that see the most wear and tear, and reinforcing them with one of these sturdy bands is a practical way to extend the life of the tunic. It's that familiar Viking blend of beauty and utility. Why have a simple, folded over hem when you could have one that is both stronger and a joy to look at? This philosophy is woven into the very fabric of your culture. Asterisk, these braids could be made at home, but high-quality, complex bands were also valuable trade goods. A particularly skilled weaver might trade her creations for other goods, her reputation for fine patterns spreading through the local community. Archaeologists have found the remains of these tablets in women's graves, buried with them as a tribute to their skill. They've also found fragments of the bands themselves, sometimes woven with incredibly fine silk, or even metallic threads of silver and gold. These luxury braids were likely imported from places like Byzantium or the Middle East, traveling thousands of miles along the riverways and trade routes to end up as a glittering highlight on the collar of a wealthy chieftain's tunic. The silk threads in some of these bands are so fine they defy easy explanation, hinting at a level of textile technology in other parts of the world that was almost magical. Asterisk. Historians still puzzle over the precise meanings of the patterns. Were they purely decorative, chosen for their aesthetic appeal? Or did certain patterns have specific regional or familial identities, like a Scottish tartan? Could someone look at the braid on your cuff and know immediately which ford your family came from? The evidence is inconclusive, but it's a romantic thought. It suggests a hidden language of threads, a silent conversation of patterns understood by everyone in your community. A man from a distant village might wear a style of braid that is subtly different, marking him as an outsider. It's a level of social signaling that is both complex and beautifully understated. Asterisk, beyond woven bands. Embroidery was another way to decorate clothing. Using a needle made of bone or bronze and thread spun from fine, brightly dyed wool or imported silk, a woman could add swirling patterns, animals, or abstract designs to her family's clothes. The famous Oseberg tapestry, a stunning piece of textile art found in a Norwegian ship burial, shows the incredible skill of these embroiderers. They were painting with thread, creating vivid scenes, and powerful symbols with every stitch. Your tunic doesn't have that level of elaborate embroidery. That would be for a truly special ceremonial garment, but the woven band on your cuff is a proud and striking statement. Asterisk, you smooth the braid with your thumb, feeling the tight, dense weave. It makes the simple tunic feel complete. It's a border, a frame, a deliberate line drawn between you and the world. It's a small piece of order and beauty in a life that is often chaotic and demanding. This little strip of colored wool is a quiet declaration of identity. It says that even in the smoky dimness of a longhouse, on the edge of the known world, craftsmanship and artistry matter. They are not frivolous extras, they are essential. They are what make a piece of cloth into clothing, and a person into an individual. Asterisk, a wear outfit is nearly complete. You have the soft linen underlayer for comfort, and the rich blue wool over tunic for warmth and color. Its cuffs elegantly finished with a band of intricate tablet weaving. Now, you need a way to hold it all together. You reach not into the chest, but onto a small shelf above your sleeping bench. Your fingers close around a piece of metal that is cool, heavy, and reassuringly solid. It is your brooch. Asterisk, you hold it in your palm, its weight a pleasant burden. This is no flimsy safety pin. It's a substantial piece of cast bronze, a beautiful example of the Scandinavian art styles of your era. It's an oval, tortoiseshell shape, a design classic that has been popular for generations. The surface is not smooth, but is instead covered in a complex three-dimensional pattern of gripping beasts. Stylized animal forms so intertwined and abstracted that they become a flowing, mesmerizing texture. The craftsmanship is incredible. A wax model was first meticulously carved, then encased in clay. The wax was melted out, and molten bronze was poured in to create this single, solid piece of metal art. It's a small sculpture you get to wear every day. Asterisk, for a woman, a pair of these oval brooches would be the essential fasteners for her hangarock or suspended apron dress. Worn on the upper chest, they held up the straps of the dress, and often a festive string of glass beads would be draped between them. For a man, a single, different style of brooch perhaps, a trefoil, a disc, or an equal-armed shape would be used to fasten a cloak at the shoulder. But their function was always the same, to hold layers of clothing together in a world without buttons. Buttons existed, but they were mostly decorative, carved from bone or antler, and used as showy ornaments rather than functional fasteners. For real, heavy-duty fastening of thick wool, the brooch was the indispensable tool. Asterisk, on the back of the brooch is the functional part, a thick, sturdy pin, also made of bronze, hinged at one end and held in a catch at the other. It's a simple, robust mechanism designed to punch through several layers of thick, woven wool and hold them securely. You gather the fabric of your cloak at your right shoulder, leaving your sword arm free. A practical consideration for a man, and push the pin through the tough fabric. It takes a bit of force. The wool groans in protest. You guide the point into the catch and feel it lock into place. The brooch is now secure, its decorative face displayed prominently, its weight pulling the cloak into a graceful, comfortable drape. Asterisk, the sheer variety of these brooches is staggering, and they are one of the most valuable tools historians have for dating sites and tracking cultural influence. Styles changed over time, almost like models of cars. A trained archaeologist could look at a brooch and tell you, with reasonable accuracy, what century and sometimes even what part of a century it was made in. They are time capsules in metal. The one you are wearing is in the boar style, a popular fashion of the moment. Known for its pretzel-like animal knots and distinctive masked heads, wearing it signals that you are current, a person of your time. An older man might still wear a brooch in the slightly more dated Osseberg style, marking him as belonging to a previous generation. Asterisk, this is a widely accepted historical fact. The regional variations in brooch design are so pronounced that they can often be used to trace an individual's origins. A brooch found in a grave in England might be of a distinctively Norwegian or Danish style, telling the story of a settler who traveled far from her homeland, but who still wore the jewelry of her people. It was a portable piece of identity, but one of the lesser-known details is the evidence of repair. Many brooches found in graves show signs of having been fixed. A broken pin might be carefully replaced, or a crack in the casting might be patched. This tells you that these were not disposable items of fast fashion. They were valuable, cherished possessions, perhaps passed down through generations, repaired and cared for until they were finally deposited in the earth with their last owner. Asterisk. You give the brooch a final pat, feeling its solid, secure presence on your shoulder. It feels like a piece of armor, a small, glittering shield. It anchors your clothing, and, in a way, it anchors you. Historians still wonder about the smiths who made these items. Were they itinerant craftsmen who traveled from village to village, setting up a temporary forge and casting jewelry to order? Or were there specialized workshops in the larger trading towns where these were produced in quantity? The quality is so consistently high. It suggests a community of highly skilled artisans who shared techniques and styles, creating a unified artistic culture that spread across the entire Viking world. From Iceland to the rivers of Russia, the weight of the bronze on your shoulder is a constant, of color and light, that will complete the picture. Your clothing is now layered, colored, and securely fastened. You feel warm, practical, and presentable. But there is one final touch, a small string of portable wealth and beauty that serves no practical purpose, other than to bring you joy and signal your connection to a world much larger than this smoky longhouse. You return to your wooden chest one last time and pull out a long strand of beads. Asterisk, you hold them up, letting them catch the light from the central fire. They are magnificent. The strand is a vibrant mix of colors and shapes, a miniature galaxy of gleaming glass. Most are simple, spherical or donut-shaped beads in bold, primary colors. The deep woad blue of your tunic, a cheerful madder red, a sunny yellow, and a bright, opaque white. They are interspersed with a few more complex beads. One is a mesmerizing swirl of blue and white glass, twisted together while molten to create a marbled effect. Another, your favorite, is a dark blue bead, decorated with 3 perfect white dots, each with a smaller blue dot in its center, like a cluster of watchful eyes. This is a classic eye bead, a design thought to offer protection from evil spirits. Asterisk, you run the cool, smooth beads through your fingers. Each one is a tiny miracle of craftsmanship. Glassmaking was not a common skill in your homeland. While some simple, single-color beads might have been made locally, in the major trading towns like Hiddeby or Birka, the majority of these colorful complex beads were imports, treasures from distant lands. They are tangible evidence of the vast and sprawling trade network your people were a part of. This is a well-established historical fact. Viking Age graves are full of beads from all over the known world. A single necklace could contain beads from the Rhineland, from the Byzantine Empire, and even from as far away as Central Asia or India. Asterisk, you drape the string of beads around your neck, a cool, pleasant weight against your chest. Or, if you were a woman wearing the traditional suspended dress, you might loop them in one or more swags between the 2 tortoise brooches on your chest, creating a festive, cascading display of color and wealth. The beads make a soft, satisfying clinking sound as you move, a gentle personal soundtrack. They are your savings account, made visible, in a world without banks, and with a complex, often fluctuating system of barter and bullion. These beads were a stable and widely accepted form of currency. They were beautiful, durable, and portable. A handful of particularly fine beads could be worth as much as a cow or a small plot of land. Wearing them was a way of displaying your family's prosperity without having to carry around a sack of silver. Asterisk. One of the lesser-known, quirky details about these beads is the presence of fakes, or imitations. Some beads found by archaeologists are not glass at all, but are made of painted clay, or polished bone, crafted to look like their more expensive glass counterparts. This suggests a thriving market, with different tiers of customers. If you couldn't afford the genuine imported glass bead, a local craftsman could sell you a very convincing look-alike for a fraction of the price. It's a touchingly human detail. The desire for a bit of fashionable bling is apparently a timeless impulse. Asterisk. As you adjust the lay of your necklace, you ponder the journey these little globes of glass have taken. The dark blue one might have been made in a workshop in what is now modern-day Syria, traded for furs with a Rus merchant on the Volga River, passed through the hands of a dozen different traders, and finally ended up here, in your longhouse, in exchange for a basket of salted fish or a fine woolen cloak. Each bead is a story, a tiny, silent testament to a long and perilous voyage. Historians still debate the exact roots and mechanisms of this bead trade. Were there specialized bead merchants who traveled with vast, colorful inventories? Or were they passed along in small batches, a secondary part of a larger cargo of silk, spices, and silver? The logistics of moving millions of these fragile little objects across continents without a postal service or packing peanuts is mind-boggling. Asterisk. The beads feel like the perfect finishing touch. They connect your simple, functional outfit to the wider world of art, commerce, and adventure. They are a splash of exotic light against the familiar texture of your wool tunic. They are your personal treasure, a collection curated over time, perhaps with a few inherited from your mother or received as a gift. They are more than just decoration. They are your history, your wealth, and your connection to the great, glittering web of the world. The longhouse is now bustling, the smell of breakfast is strong, and the day's duties are calling more insistently. You are finally ready to face it, not as a drab figure from a forgotten age, but as a person of color, texture, and surprising sophistication. Asterisk. You are now fully dressed, a walking tapestry of linen, wool, bronze, and glass. You feel prepared, your appearance, a careful construction of cultural norms and personal tastes. As you move towards the central hearth to get a warm flatbread for breakfast, you catch a glimpse of a neighbor. He has intricate dark blue patterns swirling down his arms, visible where his sleeves are pushed up. This brings to mind another, more mysterious aspect of Viking grooming. Tattoos. The most famous account of this practice comes from an Arab diplomat, Ahmad ibn Fadlan, who met a group of Rus Vikings on the Volga River in the early 10th century. He was a meticulous observer, and his description is both fascinated and slightly horrified. He wrote that from the tips of their toes to their necks, each man was covered in dark green or blue-black patterns of trees, figures, and the like. His account is vivid and specific, and for a long time, it was the primary evidence that your people engaged in extensive tattooing. It's an incredibly compelling image. These Norse traders, far from home, their bodies covered in a permanent layer of dark, swirling artwork. Asterisk. You look at your own bare arms. Tattoos are not universal among your people. It seems to be a regional preference, or perhaps a practice more common among those who travel the eastern trade routes, where they would have encountered other cultures with strong tattooing traditions. The practice itself is ancient. Needles made of bone, designed for pushing pigment under the skin, have been found in sites thousands of years old. The technique would be simple, if painful. A sharp point would be used to prick the design into the skin, and then soot from the fire, mixed with a little water or oil, would be rubbed into the fresh wounds to create a permanent, dark blue line. Asterisk. What did these tattoos look like? Ibn Fadlan's mention of trees and figures is tantalizingly vague. Were they representations of the great world tree Yggdrasil, its branches wrapping around a warrior's limbs? Were they images of dragons and wolves from the great myths? or stylized faces of the gods, like Odin with his single, staring eye. Perhaps they were the same complex, interlocking knotwork patterns found on your metalwork and carvings. A way of turning the skin itself into a canvas for your distinctive art style. Archaeologists have never found preserved Viking skin with tattoos intact. The soft tissues don't survive 1,000 years in the soils, so the exact designs remain a mystery. This is one of the great open questions of Viking-era studies. We have a compelling eyewitness account, but no physical proof. It's a ghost of a tradition, a story of ink and skin that we can only imagine. Asterisk, as you ponder the idea of permanent ink, your mind turns back to another of Ibn Fadlan's observations, and one mentioned by the later writer Al-Tartushi as well, the use of eye makeup. Al-Tartushi claimed that the Vikings of Hidabi wore dark makeup around their eyes, a custom that increases beauty in both men and women. This idea is just as striking as the tattoos. You can picture it clearly, a dark line of coal, made from powdered antimony or lead sulfide, applied with a small bone or bronze stick. It would make the eyes appear larger and more intense, a dramatic flourish that would stand out against a fair northern European complexion. Asterisk, where would you even get coal? It wasn't a local product. It was an item of trade, common in the Middle East and the Mediterranean, used for millennia in places like Egypt to protect the eyes from the sun's glare and to enhance beauty. Its presence here, in a smoky longhouse in Scandinavia, is another testament to those far-reaching trade routes. A small pot of this dark, glittering powder would be a luxury item, a sign of wealth and sophistication, just like the glass beads. It's a lesser-known detail that your people's conception of beauty might have included a touch of exotic glamour from the faraway south. Asterisk, you glance around at the faces in the longhouse, illuminated by the flickering firelight. Do you see the faint, dark smudges of coal around their eyes? Perhaps it's subtle, not the heavy, dramatic makeup of a pharaoh, but a simple, dark line to add definition and intensity. It's a small touch, but it changes the face, giving the gaze a certain power. It's easy to dismiss these accounts as the exoticizing fantasies of foreign writers, but the descriptions are consistent and matter. It seems more likely that they were simply reporting what they saw, a people who, far from being scruffy provincials, were actively participating in a global culture of adornment, picking and choosing styles they found appealing. Asterisk U. The day unfolds in a rhythm of familiar chores. You mend a tool, help turn the hay that's drying near the hearth, and listen to the steady, percussive clatter of the loom as your mother weaves. But a different kind of energy begins to build as the afternoon wears on. There's a sense of pleasant anticipation, because today is It is Saturday. It is washing day. This isn't a solitary chore to be rushed through. It is a communal event, a cornerstone of the social week, and something everyone genuinely looks forward to. Asterisk, preparations began early in the day. Large soapstone pots, filled with water from the stream, were set near the main hearth to slowly heat up. Stones were placed directly into the fire, where they have been glowing red-hot for hours. Now, the time has come. You and a few others from the longhouse make your way to a small, turf-walled building set a short distance away. This is the bathhouse, or Grooming. It's a low semi-subterranean structure, built into the earth to conserve heat, with a turf roof that makes it look like a natural green mound from a distance. Asterisk. You push aside the heavy wooden door and step inside. The air is already thick with a warm, damp, earthy smell. The interior is simple, a sunken stone-lined fire pit in the center and wooden benches running along the curved walls. A few men from your family are already here, their bare skin gleaming in the dim light that filters through a small opening in the roof. They are laughing and talking, their voices soft and relaxed in the enclosed space. There's a feeling of cheerful camaraderie, a temporary suspension of the usual hierarchies and daily worries. Asterisk, the process begins. The red-hot stones are carefully lifted from the fire pit with tongs, made from green wood and dropped into a large wooden trough of cold water. The effect is instantaneous and dramatic. A massive cloud of steam erupts with a loud, angry hiss, billowing up to the low ceiling and filling the room in a matter of seconds. The air becomes a hot, wet, blinding fog. It's an intense, lung-searing heat that makes you gasp. But your body quickly adjusts, and the sensation becomes deeply pleasant. The heat sinks into your bones, loosening muscles made tight by a week of hard labor. Sweat beads on your skin immediately, a purifying release. Asterisk, this is the Viking sauna. It's a practice so deeply ingrained in your culture that it's mentioned in the sagas and even in the mythological poems. The Eddas, the great collections of Norse myths, speak of the gods themselves enjoying the pleasures of a hot bath. It is a well-established historical fact that these bathhouses were a common feature of Scandinavian life. From Iceland to the Viking settlements in Russia, they were places for cleansing, but also for socializing, for conducting business, and even for rituals associated with birth and death. They were the community centers of the Norse world. Asterisk, once everyone is thoroughly heated and sweating freely, the washing begins. You use the pots of warm water that have been brought in from the longhouse, ladling it over yourself. You finally bring out that potent lye soap, working it into a rich lather. In the intense humidity of the bathhouse, its sharp, clean scent mingles with the smell of hot stone, wet wood, and damp earth. You scrub your skin with a rough bundle of straw or a piece of coarse wool cloth, exfoliating away the week's accumulation of dirt, sweat, and soot. You can feel your skin tingling, alive and clean. Asterisk, a lesser-known, slightly humorous detail is that the bathhouse was a prime location for gossip and storytelling. In the warm, relaxed, and semi-dark atmosphere, people spoke freely. News was exchanged, jokes were told, and long, rambling stories were spun. It was a place to catch up on the social life of the community in a way that wasn't possible during the busy workday. Historians can only speculate on the kinds of conversations that took place in these steamy little rooms, but it's easy to imagine them being the original social network, a place where information and rumors were passed along with the bucket of rinse water. Asterisk. You and your companions might also use bundles of birch twigs, called vita, to gently beat your skin. It sounds strange, but the practice stimulates circulation and enhances the feeling of cleanliness, leaving a fresh, woody scent on the skin. You emerge from the bathhouse sometime later, stepping back out into the cool, crisp afternoon air. The contrast is exhilarating. Your skin is pink and glowing, your muscles are as relaxed as cooked noodles, and you feel profoundly, deeply clean. Your hair, washed and rinsed, is damp and smells of soap and wood. You feel reborn, reset, ready for the evening feast and the day of rest that will follow. Asterisk. The weekly rhythm of Lagerdagur is a vital part of your life. It's a ritual that cleanses both the body and the spirit. It reinforces the bonds of family and community. Historians sometimes debate whether every single farmstead had its own private bathhouse, or if they were more of a shared, village resource. The archaeological evidence suggests both were possible, depending on the wealth and size of the settlement. But the importance of the practice is undisputed. It was a fundamental part of what it meant to be Norse, a weekly return to a state of warmth and communal peace. Asterisk. Asterisk, feeling clean, warm, and profoundly relaxed after your time in the steamy bathhouse. You walk back towards the longhouse. The late afternoon sun is beginning to cast long shadows, and the air is cool on your damp hair. As you step back inside, you're greeted by a familiar, wonderfully fresh scent that cuts through the ever-present aroma of wood. It's a sweet, honeyed, almost almond-like fragrance. Your sister is strewing fresh herbs on the floor and tucking small bundles of dried plants into the bedding. This is another layer of the Viking sensory world, another form of cleanliness that goes beyond the body and extends to the living space itself. Asterisk. The primary source of this beautiful scent is meadowsweet. It's a common plant that grows in abundance in the damp fields and along the riverbanks, with frothy cream-colored flowers and a powerful sweet perfume. It was one of the most popular strewing herbs. In an age of earthen floors and a constant influx of mud, dust, and animal dander, laying down a fresh layer of fragrant herbs was a simple and effective way to freshen the air and combat unpleasant odors. When people walked on the herbs, the leaves and flowers would be bruised, releasing a fresh wave of scent. It's a beautifully simple and organic form of air freshener. Asterisk. You watch as your sister works, her movements practiced and efficient. She has a large basket filled with a mix of dried plants. Along with the meadowsweet, you can identify the sharp, clean scent of yarrow and the faint, minty aroma of woodruff. These plants weren't chosen just for their pretty smells. Many of them had practical properties as well. Woodruff, for example, is a known insect repellent, particularly effective against moths. Tucking sachets of it into the wooden clothing chests was a clever way to protect precious wool and linen garments from being eaten during storage. It was a gentle, fragrant form of pest control. Asterisk. This use of botanicals is a well-established historical fact, supported by plant remains found in the floors of excavated longhouses and even in the bedding of spectacular burials like the Oseberg ship. The Vikings had a deep and intimate knowledge of the plant world around them, a form of folk science passed down through generations. They knew which plants could dye wool, which could heal a wound, which could freshen a room, and which could add flavor to a stew or a brew of ale. Their world was woven through with the scents and properties of the local flora. Asterisk. A lesser-known, quirky detail is the use of plant resins as a more potent form of incense. You notice a small lump of hardened amber-colored resin sitting on a flat stone near the hearth. When placed on a hot coal, it will begin to smolder, releasing a thick, aromatic smoke with a sharp pine-like fragrance. This might be resin tapped from a local pine or fir tree, or it could even be a piece of imported frankincense, another luxury good that occasionally made its way north along the trade routes. This practice might have been reserved for special occasions or rituals, a way to purify the air in a more dramatic and ceremonial fashion. The image of a longhouse filled not just with the smoke of the cooking fire, but with the sacred, cleansing smoke of incense, adds another layer of sensory complexity to your home. Asterisk. You walk over to your sleeping bench and run a hand over the mattress, a thick sackcloth bag stuffed with straw. Your sister has already tucked a bundle of dried herbs inside. The most common choice for this was haysedge, or another fragrant dried grass, which would not only provide a pleasant sweet-smelling cushion, but also help to repel fleas and other biting insects. Historians still wonder about the full extent of this herbal knowledge. Did specific herbs have symbolic or magical associations in a domestic setting? Was meadowsweet used, not just for its scent, but because it was believed to bring peace and good dreams? These are the kinds of subtle cultural beliefs that rarely get written down, leaving only the physical evidence of the plants themselves and the lingering question of their deeper meaning. Asterisk. The longhouse now smells wonderful. The sharp temps of the fire, the savory aroma of the evening meal starting to cook, the earthy smell of the turf walls, all of it is now overlaid with the fresh, sweet, and complex scent of the meadows and forests. It's a smell that speaks of care and attention to detail. Dressed in your finest, clean from the bathhouse, and surrounded by the fresh scent of herbs, you are finally ready to step outside and present yourself to the community. The sun is low in the sky, painting the clouds in shades of orange and pink. The air is cool and clean. As you emerge from the smoky dimness of the longhouse into the golden light of early evening, you see others doing the same. It's a Saturday evening, the work is done, and people are gathering to share a meal, tell stories, and enjoy a few hours of well-earned leisure. This is the stage upon which your careful preparations will be seen and understood. Asterisk, you walk through the small cluster of buildings that makes up your settlement. A neighbor, a wealthy farmer, strolls past with his wife. He is a picture of prosperity. His cloak is a deep, luxurious red, fastened at the shoulder with a heavy silver brooch in the shape of a dragon's head, its eyes inlaid with gleaming garnets. The trim on his tunic is not just woven wool, but a band of imported Byzantine silk, its shimmering pattern catching the last rays of the sun. His wife is equally splendid, with long swags of multicolored glass beads looped between two large, gilded bronze brooches. Her keys, a symbol of her status as the mistress of a powerful household, hang from one of the brooches on a fine bronze chain, jingling softly as she walks. Their clothing speaks a clear and unambiguous language. We are successful. We are powerful. We are connected. Asterisk, your own outfit is more modest, but it sends its own message. Your woad blue tunic signals that your family has the resources and skill for complex dyeing. The tablet woven braid on your cuffs shows attention to detail and a respect for craftsmanship. Your solid bronze brooch is a sign of respectable, solid status, not the flashy silver of a chieftain, but the durable, well-made ornament of a free farmer. Even the fact that your hair is neatly combed and your clothes are clean is a statement. It shows you have the leisure time for proper grooming and the resources like a bathhouse and soap to maintain a high standard of hygiene. Appearance is a conversation, and everyone here is fluent in its nuances. Asterisk, this public presentation is a well-understood aspect of your culture. The sagas are filled with detailed descriptions of what people wore, especially when they were attending important gatherings like the Althing, the Great Assembly, where laws were made and disputes were settled. To show up at such an event poorly dressed or unkempt would be a sign of profound disrespect, an insult to the assembly and a declaration that you didn't take your own status seriously. Clothing was a uniform that displayed your rank, your wealth, and your regional identity. It was your social skin. Asterisk, a lesser-known detail that archaeologists have uncovered is the evidence of wear and repair on even the finest garments. A silk trim might be carefully unstitched from a worn-out tunic and sewn onto a new one. A brooch might be patched, a bead necklace restrung. This wasn't a disposable culture. Valuable items were cared for and curated, their lives extended for as long as possible. This makes their public display even more meaningful. That rich farmer's silver brooch might be an heirloom, a piece of his family's history he wears on his shoulder. His wife's beads may have been accumulated over a lifetime, each string representing a successful trading voyage or a significant gift. Their clothing tells a story that stretches back in time. Asterisk, as you continue your walk, you see the full spectrum of the community. A group of young unmarried men are showing off, their hair fashionably bleached, their movements a little louder and more boisterous. An old woman sits on a bench, her clothes made of undyed wool in subtle, natural shades. Her status conveyed not by bright colors but by the quiet dignity of her bearing and the quality of her simple, well-made cloak. Historians still debate how much social mobility was possible in your society. Could a person of humble origins, through luck and skill, in raiding or trading, amass the wealth to wear the clothes of a chieftain? The sagas are full of such stories, of ambitious men who rise to greatness. Their changing appearance is often a key part of their story. Their acquisition of a fine sword or a scarlet cloak marking a new chapter in their lives. Asterisk, you reach the large feasting hall, a building even bigger than your longhouse, where the community will gather. The doors are open wide, and the warm, welcoming light of a great central fire spills out. The smell of roasting meat and brewing ale fills the air. You see friends and greet them with a nod and a smile. They, too, are in their Saturday best. There is a shared sense of pride and well-being. You have all worked hard all week, and now is the time to enjoy the fruits of that labor. You are clean, well-dressed, and surrounded by your people. It's a feeling of belonging, of being correctly placed in the grand, intricate pattern of your world. Your appearance is in harmony with your identity, and as you step into the warm, noisy hall, you feel a deep and simple sense of rightness. The evening feast is a warm, noisy, and cheerful affair. The great hall is filled with the people you have known your entire life. The air is thick with the savory smell of roast pork, the sweet scent of honey-sweetened ale, and the familiar, comforting aroma of the giant central fire. Flames leap and dance, casting flickering golden light on the faces of your friends and family, making the bronze on their brooches and the glass of their beads glitter like captured stars. A skald, a poet and storyteller, is recounting a familiar tale of heroes and monsters, his deep, rhythmic voice a hypnotic counterpoint to the crackle of the fire and the murmur of conversation. Asterisk, you eat your fill, using your personal knife to spear pieces of tender meat from a wooden platter shared with your benchmates. You drink the sweet, potent ale from a polished drinking horn, its surface worn smooth by the hands of generations. The stories, the food, and the warmth of the hall all combine to create a deep feeling of contentment and belonging. The worries of the farm, the anxieties of a poor harvest or a harsh winter, fade into the background. Tonight is a celebration of community, a reaffirmation of the bonds that hold your world together. Asterisk, as the hour grows late, the energy in the hall begins to soften. The stories become quieter, the laughter more subdued. People begin to drift off, one by one, back to their own lives. The great fire is banked, its roaring flames coaxed into a bed of glowing, sleepy embers. You say your good nights and step back out into the cool, clear night. The stars are a brilliant, silent canopy overhead, a shocking expanse of cold fire after the enclosed warmth of the hall. The moon is a sliver of silver, casting a pale, ethereal light on the turf roofs of the settlement. Asterisk, you walk the short distance back to your longhouse. Inside, it is dark and quiet. The central hearth is just a low, red glow, providing just enough light to see the familiar shapes of the sleeping platforms and the dark, hulking forms of the looms and chests. The air smells of cool smoke and the faint, sweet perfume of the meadowsweet that was strewn on the floor. Most of your family is already asleep, their soft, rhythmic breathing the only sound in the vast, dark space. Asterisk, you move quietly to your bench, your eyes having already adjusted to the deep gloom. You don't need much light to navigate this space. You know its geography by heart. You carefully remove your treasures. The heavy bronze brooch is unpinned and placed back on its shelf. The string of cool, smooth glass beads is coiled and laid gently in its wooden chest. You pull the blue wool tunic off, its warmth and weight a familiar comfort, and fold it carefully. You will wear it again tomorrow, for the day of rest, before returning to simpler work clothes when the new week begins. Asterisk, you are left in your soft, loose linen under. It feels light and comfortable, the perfect garment for sleeping. You slip under the heavy, scratchy wool blanket on your straw-filled mattress. The straw rustles softly, conforming to your shape. The familiar scents of wool, smoke, and dried herbs in your bedding are deeply comforting, a signal to your body that it is time for rest. This is a widely accepted fact. Life in your time is governed by the natural cycles of light and dark, with no bright, artificial light to extend the day. The evenings are for storytelling, quiet work, and, eventually, long hours of sleep. Asterisk, you lie on your back, staring up into the impenetrable darkness of the high, arched roof. You can hear the wind whispering outside, a low, mournful song that has been the soundtrack to every night of your life. A lesser-known detail that sleep scientists speculate on is that your people likely had a different relationship with sleep than modern humans. With long, dark winters, a segmented sleep pattern was common, sleeping for a few hours, waking for a period of quiet wakefulness in the middle of the night, and then sleeping again until dawn. This quiet, waking period could be a time for thought, for prayer, or for intimacy. It was a different rhythm of life, a gentle rising and falling of consciousness throughout the long, dark night. Asterisk, as you lie there, clean, comfortable, and full, you feel the day's journey settling within you, from the first shock of cold water in the morning to the meticulous combing of your hair, the layering of colorful clothes, and the communal warmth of the bathhouse and the feasting hall. It has been a day dedicated to order and well-being. Historians will forever debate the true nature of your people, caught between the brutal caricature of the raider and the romantic image of the noble adventurer. But you know the quiet, domestic truth. You are a person who values a clean shirt, a neat hairdo, and a good story told by the fire. As your breathing deepens and your thoughts begin to drift, you close your eyes, ready for a peaceful, well-earned sleep, wrapped in the smoky, quiet dark of the longhouse. Asterisk, the sounds of the longhouse have all faded now, melting into a single, soft hum. The breathing of your family, the whisper of the wind against the turf walls, the faint, sleepy crackle of the last embers in the hearth, they all merge into a gentle, soothing drone, a lullaby 1,000 years old. Your body is heavy and relaxed, sinking into the soft rustle of your straw bed. The warmth from the wool blanket is a comforting weight, a safe and secure anchor in the deep, quiet darkness. There is nothing left to do now. The day, with its rituals of grooming and gathering, is complete. It has been folded up and put away, as carefully as you folded your blue wool tunic. Asterisk, let your own breathing follow the slow, ancient rhythm of this sleeping house. A long, slow breath in, filling your lungs with the calm, still air, and a long, slow breath out, letting go of all the day's thoughts, all the little worries, all the noise of the modern world. Feel the tension leave your shoulders, your arms, your hands. Feel the quiet stillness seep into you, as gentle and pervasive as the night itself. You are safe here, in this quiet moment, suspended in time. The stories have all been told for the night. The fire is sleeping. The world is at peace. And now, it is your time to rest, to drift, to dream. Asterisk, there is only the soft, endless dark, the gentle weight of your blanket, and the quiet, steady beat of your own heart. A slow and patient drum leading you down into a deep and restorative sleep. Let the last of your thoughts dissolve like smoke in the high rafters. Let the darkness be a soft blanket, wrapping you in peace. Rest now. Just rest.